The other day, I made a video where I showed off the absolute carnage that happened in the summer 2020 campaign, with all the ridiculous shortcuts found by the community. In this one, I want to go back in the history books again and look at some of the best campaign shortcuts that have happened in Trackmania's 6-year history. We're gonna go chronologically starting from the fall campaign, so if you want to see the summer campaign before that, check out the other video, but there's still plenty of sick runs from that point onwards. So with that said, let's get into the game and have a look at some of these beauties. So we'll start with fall 2020 map 14. This is one of my personal favorites. If you look at the layout of the track here in the start area, you'll notice we have a reactor booster, we have the first checkpoint, and then we have some grass, and you go quite far to the second checkpoint. Here there's a wall ride, and the next checkpoint is not until here. And then at the ending, there is a slow motion ring. So quite a lot of slow elements that one could skip. Now immediately when this map released, players tried to figure out a way to manipulate reactor boosters, and by the end of the campaign, you have an astonishing run, which is what I'm going to show you now. Starting with Darker. So in the start here, you can hit the arrow that's clipping into the wall to get a reactor flight. You place a reactor booster, your map becomes a reactor map. Then he drives the wall ride because he carries a bunch of speed. He skips that jump though, for more speed and less airtime. And at the end, you can also skip the slow motion with a jump past everything on the side here and flying into the finish. Corny beat this by 2/100ths with a completely different line. Well, not completely different. You still do this crash into flip in the start, but then here he drifts so that he can jump down on the track directly, skipping the wall ride. He's like several seconds ahead at this point, but way slower for the entire rest of the map. Darker had like 500 speed here, Corny's at 300. He gets a very low jump because that's all he can muster, but it's barely faster overall. Again, I don't think this was planned by the devs, but they just so happen to have these arrows clipping into the wall. The wheel gets stuck underneath the arrow to start the flight. There were other ways to start this flight that would be fast too, but this was by far the fastest. So very beautiful record here by Corny and Darker. Alright guys, so the next map is fall 2020 map 17, only 3 tracks down the road. I don't know why I have such a slow record on this. I think I played for all the author times, but maybe the map got updated and then I never improved after. And I was trying to find out the player count of the track, so 79k players here. But the records here are completely ridiculous. The world record at the time the campaign closed was by Aerosol in 2020, but it's been improved by almost a second since, though Aerosol himself used the shortcut, so. World record by Kiyomitsu. You start with a sign hit in the start here to reduce airtime, really sick sign hit plus flip, carrying speed. Then they skip some penalty grass, you get a reactor booster, but that is not where the shortcut happens. After this you go just normal driving for a bit, and here cinema happens, guys. So if you just look at the layout of this turn, the normal way to do this would be to, you know, drive like this and then go up the hill and then slowly over the top and then down. You would hope that there would be some faster way of doing it, and Kiyomitsu and Corny are gonna show us how. They do the following. Jumping into the gap, bug slide here, and just barely making it past the hill and into the checkpoint. That one, I cannot say if it's intended or not. It looks a lot more intended by the devs, but beautiful, right? These 2 shortcuts in one run. First, the sign hit flip thing, which might not be so consistent, and then 10 seconds later, bug slide into a huge jump. So the angle, everything needs to be right for you to barely land here getting through the checkpoint. Very nice runs and very nice finds from the players back then too. So we are now on map 21 of the fall 2020 campaign, and this one actually has 2 shortcuts. There's a bunch of checkpoints inside this room, and there are 2 routes to take them faster than normal way. I'm gonna show you the one I used first. This is the slower variant, but still enough for top 30. And what you do here is you take the first 2 as intended, then you jump down to this checkpoint, pick up the one that's up after it, and then jump down again to the track, where it continues normally from there. It's a pretty precise jump. You land on the engine off, but you keep quite a lot of speed, and then you drive towards the finish. But if I turn on the top ghost now, you see that Aerosol is already way ahead with a different route. And this shortcut, guys, is the beautiful one. So take a look at this now. They take the first two as intended, then they go to the left instead of to the right, and now they do this jump. Look at this. Full speed into the pillar, Beyblade, to continue on the track and carry speed. Just a very, like, straightforward idea, but executed so beautifully. The rest of the track is driven as intended, and from this point, gotta give credit to Aerosol. He clutches up, because he's quite far behind Haskell, but finds a bit of gains in that drift, and then he sets up wider on the dirt right here, and that gives him more speed towards the finish. This carries for so long over a slow-mo, and sausage turns where the speed matters, so this is the world record, but I gotta show you the balance again, right? Like, there's no way to jump further left because of those black pillars, so your only option is to go for this one yellow pillar here. But the fact that this works out so nicely is just beautiful. On the note of acceleration penalty, right? You can come back and hunt this and probably beat it by several, maybe a second even, because of the new acceleration penalty. You won't lose as much speed after crashing, so something for the players to think about if you get inspired by this one. Beautiful, beautiful shortcut idea. The last beautiful shortcut I know of in the fall 2020 campaign is this one on map 24. So here we're seeing Arpa and Gunter are new runs and Uffy is the old one. Arpa found out that here in the start they can do a nice shortcut, so not quite yet, but on this jump up, instead of going out to the side, they can hit the wall, get a flip and land into a bug slide through this turn. The wall hit is necessary to get the nose up and down required to make the bug slide wide enough. So it looks like just flashy style points, and it is flashy style points, but it's actually a necessity. And then the rest of the run, they drive as normal. You can see Uffy here. He did the normal way, he's catching up, but from here on out, they managed to both hold him off and inch out a lead. Also with a reactor zoop in the end. But that wall hit bug slide combo is just, it's just so nice, you know? Whenever you see something that lines up perfectly like that. Just, you need the wobble. You need the wobble here to make the bug slide fast. Beautiful find by Arpa. Now we're in winter 2021, guys, map 14, and for the duration of the campaign, this map had no shortcut. You just had to drive it like intended. I'm gonna show you guys my ghost here so you get a sense of how the map looks. It has a reactor booster in the start, and you know the old saying, if you place a reactor booster, your map becomes a reactor map. That didn't really happen here. There was one trick to get a zoop on this corner here, which would give you a bunch of speed. But apart from that, despite all the reactors placed, there weren't any shenanigans. Until 2023. In 2023, Nadeo added the snow cars and they added wood blocks. And what they did is that any map that had wood placed, like you can see these walls, would get the updated wood physics. So they didn't add like a new block for wood, they just added all wood that's in the game can now have the new wood physics. And that completely broke this map. You look at all these records, you see they're 2023 or 2024 early, before they reverted this change so that old wood gets to stay as old wood. This shortcut is actually no longer possible, to my knowledge, and Corny now has an eternal record. But in the start, they jump into the wall, they get wood grip, which lets them start a reactor flight up towards the checkpoint. Then they have to slow down because they're so fast here. They want to slow down to get this hover boost. That makes them faster than if they went at FS, full speed. And then just precision towards the finish. So a shortcut here with a very interesting story. If you try to jump into the wall here now, you no longer get grip to flip the car upside down. If I try to drive this now, it doesn't work after the revertal. The reversion? Yeah, whatever word that is. So, cool little story there. Oh my god, map 16, yeah. Yeah, no, I just saw this one. The second I saw this one, instant flashbacks to how sick this is. Let's watch the world record by Laurentius here. If you guys don't know, Laurentius and Giuliano are brothers. I haven't seen Laurentius play in a couple of years, but him and Giuliano used to be freaks at the Royal game mode, and on this map, they could do some sick bug slides. So, you jump up with reactor, while turning around, stopping in the checkpoint itself, and then building enough speed to jump down through this checkpoint triangle and then no sliding across the sand, carrying speed, landing here for a lot of speed too. And then in the ending, you had to be careful not to miss the finish. It's a very precise jump across a huge distance, and they make it. It's a beautiful shortcut idea, using the checkpoint itself to stop, boom, and go. And carry speed and drop through the triangle, like, it just works out. It's a nice run. We are on Winter 2021, map 21. I remember hunting this one a lot with Scrappy. It has a really cool shortcut where you do a bunch of things out of order. So here in the start, after taking the first 2 checkpoints, you can jump across and then jump down. And now you're on the track, but driving in reverse. You're taking checkpoints in the wrong order. And it's all to take this one, jump across here, while turning around inside this checkpoint to make it worthwhile. Then there's a pillar drift, and with low speed, you can actually stay just on the inside of all the pillars. Then here, you gotta build up a ton of speed so that you can skip the slow motion block as well in the ending and drive full speed to the finish. This was not easy to combine all into one run. Like, getting all these details right, very difficult. You see, barely hovering over the slow motion. This map, not necessarily like the craziest one trick, but just a very cool reroute that it works out, because you wouldn't think that with this many checkpoints placed that there would be such a shortcut route, but it just works out. Alright, Spring 2021-04. This one also had a huge shortcut. I think even 2 shortcuts were theorized, but let's see what remains on the leaderboard. I don't remember at the moment. Erisel with the world record. Raced a second. Yeah, so you had this no-steer part. There is only one shortcut. In the ending here, you first had a sharp 180 hairpin corner, and then there was a long turn around, and the finish just goes down at the end of this corner, where players found out you can just bounce on the sand directly over to the finish. This was found very early on. It was a very hard shortcut to do. My PB doesn't even have it. Oh, criminal. I thought I was able to do this, but no. You can see Racetoss won. I think he had a backflip in his. Oh, hitting the cactus. Yeah, wow. No, this shortcut was really cool. Usually, guys, when I see maps and I'm remembering it has to do with reactor boosters, this one is crazy though, so let's go through it one record at a time. Alright guys, so the first record we're gonna watch is 10th place on this map by Tress. And it uses a really bizarre interaction that doesn't exist anymore. This only existed at the time of the campaign. So he's doing a small shortcut there on the grass in the start, but this is where the fun stuff happens. So look at this, there's a reactor booster. This reactor is reactor down if you drive over it normally. But there was a thing that existed where if you crash the wall while taking a reactor, you could flip the reactor to reactor up. So crashing into the wall of the reactor would give you the other variant. And then with reactor up, he's able to fly across and keep the reactor here and drive the ending with a bunch of speed. But just like, what is that? How could you crash a wall and get the wrong reactor? Well, Nadeo thought that was wrong. And so what they did is they patched that out, but there's still a shortcut. Oh, there is still a shortcut. Because now, if you're forced to use reactor down, you can do this one. Just driving here, getting pulled down, getting the nose up, and a flight directly to the road. Yes, you slam the wall, but you still have reactor down for so long that it's very fast. And they can drive into the finish. And the world record is almost a second faster than this by Carolodge. Maybe you're familiar with, is a very good reactor player. Corny, Medicine, Vantori Kadru, all very good with reactors. Still onto the grass, getting this flight, but trying to do it sideways so that they get bug slide into the wall and driving into the finish. So we get the reactor flight, we're sideways, now we get a nose down, then we bug slide, back wheel hits, pulls the rest of the car inside line towards the drift, and towards the finish. Yeah, I would also pop some Eurobeat, put on some Initial D, and just celebrate. What a crazy run by Carolodge there. Beautiful execution and beautiful ideas. A map 14 here, a rather innocent looking track at first. It's actually really cool to drive on these curved ledges. And then at the end, guys, you have this uphill turn where, you know, if we just look at it from an aerial point of view, instead of driving this long road around here, would it not be better to just jump straight up? Well, yes, but how? That is not possible. World record by Aerosol, Scrappy, Trasmutta, they all got it. It is a crazy idea. You can jump into the peak of the tree and get a side flip to go straight to the checkpoint. Hard to know if it's intentional or not by the developers. It looks so obvious, but it is also something that you can oversee. I mean, do you think they planned this out, guys? Are we being psyoped by Nadeo here, thinking we're finding all these cool shortcuts and then they're planning them all along? I don't know, but this one still sticks out to me as one of the coolest shortcuts that we have, so gotta cherish it. So guys, this is a shortcut that was done recently. The world record in 2021 by Mime did not use any shortcut at all, really, just reactor zoops. But ARPA came back to this track last year and found a new shortcut idea. So we're on board with Mime. And in this part is where ARPA's shortcut happens. We're gonna go on his point of view so you can see it. So you'll notice now that instead of driving normally straightforward like the others, ARPA goes out to the side. He hits the wall. And this is to start a reactor zoop off of the wall. A what now? Yes, I don't know. Reactor zoops happen when the game thinks your car is about to land on something. That's when you get this like landing speed up. You'll notice it here in the ending too, that after passing through the bobsleigh, the game thinks he's about to land on the platform, so it gives him a speed up. And again, here, new speed up. So ARPA somehow convinced the game that he was gonna land on the wall. And the game was like, oh yeah, sure. Here you go. Neum. It's a simple trick, really. Maybe you can't even call it a shortcut, but it's just... this exists. ARPA found it and was like, yeah, I'll do that. That's fast. Very fast, very impressive. What more can you say? Alright guys, this map. Crazy stuff. This is a remake of, let me see if I remember, DO2 in Trackmania Nations Forever. Vague remake anyway, but it has some familiar parts. So here, for example, you have a quarter pipe jump now. But the cool stuff happens at the end. We're still gonna watch through the entire run though. And then wall ride. But at the ending, this is the patch where they introduced water and they introduced the plastic edges on water pools. So they were using that a lot in the campaigns, also in the scenery, you can see on the sides. And what the players found out is that at the ending here, if we just freeze frame, there's a wall ride, yes. So you can do a quarter pipe jump and land on the other side. But there's also this water pool where my mouse cursor's at. So look at this shortcut from MadPie here towards the finish. Clip, water pool bounce, land up top, and carry speed towards the finish. This is insane, honestly. It is a lot harder than it looks to do. Like, getting a plastic bounce requires hitting with a side of the car that is a crash. So if you hit, you know, just vaguely driving over it, it won't bounce. That's why he needs a corner clip and crashing with the side of the car. So it's like, oh, you're crashing, let's give you a plastic bounce, boom. And then solo over the wall, instant release, clean air control. Just, yeah. I love stuff like this. Alright guys, Fall 2021 Map 23 is another extremely cool track where things just line up perfectly for several shortcuts to exist. World record by Anix. So at this point we have some plastic, we have kind of the blocks introduced, but the way they shortcut here is really beautiful. Drifting through a couple of turns here in the start, you know the drill. Typically the shortcuts happen quite far into the tracks. Maybe author's attention there is less focused on blocking cuts. So a small jump shortcut in the start, and then here is where it gets interesting. You set up wide to carry a lot of speed. This is the last checkpoint here. Last checkpoint, and you go through the last winding turn. So instead of going very low into this turn and carrying speed, they go high up and go for this bounce. Jump through the checkpoint, nose down, steer to the right, bounce on the very edge of the block and fall into the finish. And the way Anix bounced as well is just faster actually than landing clean. Like you see, Haskell here landed clean and lost almost a second. I think my personal best actually did the shortcut, but with a respawn. I was like, oh, that's a good setup. And then I got it second try. Yeah, it's still PB. Wow. It's like vague memories of that. Alright guys, Spring 2022-18 is the next super noteworthy one, I'd say, unless I missed something. And look at this, guys, we have ice wiggles. Oh man, I wonder what it would be like to go back and play on these physics, but that is not why we're here. We're here to look at a sick water-bound shortcut. So on this map, you're supposed to go around a turn here. You can see the sign to the right, but they go to the right very early and do a double rock skip across here, clipping a bit to land cleanly, straighten out, and carry speed. You still have very low speed here throughout a part where you're supposed to be quite fast, so normal way does catch up a bit, but this shortcut is still much faster. Then into the ice slide, low towards the checkpoint, straighten out for a moment, set up a new one, and then here in the ending, you can skip through the snow, that being faster than going around, so very cute shortcut idea here, not something that we see too much, like, it's just a regular turn skip, but the way it barely works with perfect speed is satisfying, so yeah, really cool idea and execution by Kubas and Medicine. Summer 2022 map 13. Here, Nadeo had just introduced a new block, the smoke machine, one of their best inventions, and it just so happens that on the campaign this block was added, it could also be used to shortcut a track, so this one is very suspicious, I gotta say. Like here, Nadeo, I don't believe you if you tell me this is not intended, but still a nice idea. Thomas Jean here with the world record smoke machine. There just so happens to be one here he can bounce against, and a finish that is open at the ending that he can fly into. You can see the final turn that they skip by just going out here. Very suspicious though, no? I think this is a really suspicious shortcut, but it's a cool idea. Same campaign, map 20 in 2022 summer, has a huge reroute. This one I do not think at all was on purpose. World record by Half-Fast Techie second. At the first checkpoint here, they go out to the side and go to like checkpoint 5. I mean, it's a complete reroute what they're doing. Here they get a reactor, and with this they're gonna skip this tiny wall ride and fly with it. This way they keep the reactor all the way over to here. And now you're driving the track the reverse way, so the best way to take this part is just to backflip. They do the wall ride still in reverse, and where they end up is actually at checkpoint 2, which just happens to be located right next to the finish. Now here, it is forced camera 3, but they do a reactor flight off of the wall, crashing into the pillar, and going straight for the finish line. Saves a couple of seconds overall. You can see that in camera 1. It is forced cam 3 on the drive, so very hard to drive this route, but beautiful, beautiful find. Summer 2022 map 22, world record by Corny. That's when you know you're in for a show. This one starts off immediately being really cool with a jump across here into a bug slide. Then they straighten out using the edge of the water. Alright, so now we get to the very interesting part. So you can see that there's a reactor booster after the bobsleigh. What Corny does is that he turns enough sideways to turn it into a reactor up, and with that, flies with reactor up all the way to last checkpoint. Here though, he has a problem because the reactor still hasn't expired, and if you try to go for the press forward line with reactor up, it won't work. So what Corny does is he goes out to the side, crashes against the road border, and does an additional small flight with a tiny bit of boost that's left, and lands back down on the road for the world record. If you look at Heffa's line, he does something a little different. He's ahead at this point, he gets reactor up also, but uses a little bit more time to get to the last checkpoint, so this has now expired by the time he's here, and then he can just do the press forward bounce line. Same for Radiaxo. But Corny's line is actually faster. It's just really hard to first do that bug slide on the start and everything, and then hit this at the end of the run, and then control the landing in a good way. So this is a sick run by Corny. Okay guys, winter 2023, this is when Nadeo added the spectator stance that we can see next to the tracks, and on map 6 here that had some unforeseen consequences. We do not necessarily want to drive through the spectator stance, but on this map it happened to be faster. You had that roof hit in the start, which saved a bit of time, and then here you got wet tires, but it was manageable. And then in the ending, it was faster to ramp cut, drive through a bunch of spectators' fence and pick up the booster, and then drive to the finish. I really hope this one was not on purpose, or it might, you know, promote some bad ideas to the community. I'm not really sure if that's what we want to be doing. But when I think of the most absurd shortcut ideas, this map comes to mind. Like, this is just... the concept of this is so crazy to me. I think to best demonstrate this map, I'm gonna drive a run, so you get a perspective of how this works. You start with a reactor, and you know what they say, like, if you place a reactor, your map is a reactor booster map. But how do you abuse it? You still have regular bobsleigh turns all the way through. You carry the speed, then you drive down this hill, new reactor booster, but it instantly resets. And then you have bobsleigh turns towards the finish. This is 4.5 seconds behind the world record. And what you're about to see is completely nuts if you haven't seen this before. Instead of driving forwards in the start, he drifts to turn backwards. That gives reactor up, and he can get a reactor up hover boost backwards. Now he's driving the entire track backwards, up until here, where they get a new reactor boost. They turn around, get a zoop with reactor up again, skipping 2 reset blocks, and carrying that speed to the finish. So instead of getting reactor down both places, they get reactor up both places. And then this turnaround, as soon as the downhill starts to accelerate, you get that zoop. Oh, I love it, I love it. I love when an idea goes into another shortcut idea and they both harmonize to bring you a record like that. Just incredible. Winter 2023, map 20 by Corny. There are more shortcuts and there are more maps later on with even ridiculous shortcuts, but I want to kind of show you the ones from times past in Trackmania, the ancient ones that you might not have seen. There are more recent ones as well, but they're more familiar to people. Let me know though if you want to see an additional video about more recent campaign shortcuts. We can go through them, look at them one more time maybe, even if you know them. They are quite nice. Corny here, the only player to get an astonishing run and an astonishing shortcut. Last turn, snow bounce over the hill and towards the finish. Not everyone was able to do this. Jandre, Nicole, and Crisp all going for a regular ice slide. And then from the side, Corny and Darkest Sentinel. This is a shortcut I really like because it isn't a lot faster. So the reward for going for it is just not that great, but you can see that it is enough for a world record that you just can't beat normal way. I love shortcuts that just gain like 500ths of a second and that's it. Some players are still crazy enough to go for them, even if that's the gains. This next one, guys, is too crazy not to show. It is Fall 2024-08. I will first show you the normal way. Here is my personal best. A given run, I think that beats the author time. I drove it very early in the campaign, but you just have a downhill map. You go through some water, dodge some pillars, and then here at the ending you have a jump into a looping, and then with the reactor booster you fly upside down into one of the finishes. The ones on the sides are closer, so you could fly to those ones. It's effectively a very long straight line. The only inefficiency you could even think of is, well, the last checkpoint is here and the finishes are over here. You have to take the loop to get the finish, don't you? Do you? Let me show you this run. This is magic that they found on this track. It is so beautiful. So they have some tricks in the start that gain time, like a nosedive into the water. But peel your eyes at this, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, they found out that if you jump with just the right speed, you can bug slide into the booster wall and get a Uber bug that sends you straight to the finish from the last checkpoint. If you don't know what a Uber bug is, the game miscalculates your speed when you crash the wall like this, so you just fly. You're driving a normal racing game, but yeah, you can just lift off here at like 900 speed and soar into the finish. This is Trackmania magic. I mean, one of my favorite shortcut finds of all time, because you would never think that the map layout allows it, but everything just works out just right for this to be possible. With, like, if the checkpoint was placed further, it wouldn't work. So, crazy that this is a thing. So those were from the couple of first campaigns. Look at this though, there are so many more campaigns. So, if you want to see a video about shortcuts that have happened in these campaigns, let me know. there's a lot that I can show you guys that has happened in this game, and it's a pleasure to talk about Trackmania with you. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys for more Trackmania content. We try to post every day, so subscribe if you haven't, and have a great rest of your day. I'm gonna go out and enjoy the sun.